So this video is for block number 1, Tuesday, May 25th, the classwork, the chapter 12 inverse worksheet number 1. And I'm working on the ones we didn't finish in class, which is I, J, K, and L. I'll make a second video on the homework. Okay, so in this case, this one's slightly different. We are going to be starting with what's in the inside, which is they want you to find sine of 5 pi 6. But sine of 5 pi 6 is going to, 5 pi thirds, is going to be a number. I'm finding the x or y coordinate. In this case, sine is the y coordinate. So 5 pi thirds. These are my pi thirds. Okay, so that would be pi thirds. This one is 2 pi thirds. This one is 4 pi thirds. So I'm here at 5 pi thirds. That's where I am. And the coordinates here is short, comma, long, short, comma, long, and that's going to be a negative root 3 over 2. So the sine is your y coordinate. So my y coordinate is that. That is my y coordinate, okay? The negative root 3 halves. So this problem is going to boil down to this. This is really arc cosine. And the arc cosine, I'm trying to find an angle of this value, this negative root 3 halves, because that's what the sine of 5 pi thirds is, okay? So that I'm highlighting in yellow is the same as the one above. And let me just make my 3 look like a 3. Zoom in a little bit. Smaller font, okay. So this is a negative root 3 over 2. So this right here that I'm going to highlight in yellow now is the same as what sine of 5 pi thirds is. So now the next thing I'm going to do is I want to find the arc cosine of this. So now I'm going to try to find the arc cosine of that amount. So arc cosine, remember we are dealing with 2 quadrants here. And if I start here, this is positive cosines. And if I go to here on this side, this is negative cosine. So I'm going from 0 to 2 pi is where, 0 to pi is where I'm looking. And I want to figure out what angle has my negative root 3 halves, okay, which is basically going to be my long. So I want to figure out here, I'm going to do it in pink this time. So if I'm starting here, I'm thinking long, comma, short. So I'm going to be here. That is a pi 6, and that is 5 pi 6. So my final answer to this problem is 5 pi 6. That is the final answer. That's what the arc cosine of sine of 5 pi thirds is. It's 5 pi 6. So I first had to figure out what is the sine of 5 pi thirds, which was negative root 3 halves, okay? Then I had to find the arc cosine of that. So I want to know, okay, that's what the sine of 5 pi thirds gave us that, but what for my cosine would give me that same answer, and that is 5 pi 6. Okay, on letter J. So on this one, I really don't need it as a unit circle, okay? Because 2/3 isn't going to be on here. I'm just going to use it as a XY axis, okay? So ignore it in terms of unit circle. We're just paying attention to where I am. Now this is cosine inverse. So again, cosine, we're going from here to here. So since it's a negative cosine, I'm going to be in quadrant 2. So I'm going to draw a right triangle. And again, I don't really care where I'm drawing it to in this. Okay, so I'm not really paying attention to those dots up there. So if this is my angle, let's call it theta. Cosine is, remember, SOHCAHTOA. So cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So adjacent to, and it's going to be a -2 because of the quadrant I'm in. My x's are negative over here. And my hypotenuse is 3. And then I'm going to do Pythagorean theorem for this. And so Pythagorean theorem for this is, let me call this y. So I'm going to go -2 squared plus y squared is equal to 3 squared. So basically I'm going to get y squared is equal to 9 minus 4, which is 5. So it's going to be the square root of 5. Okay. So this is going to be the square root of 5. So now that is, so I don't know what the angle is. I don't actually have to find that angle. This is the angle right here. And for this angle, what is the sine? And so the sine is going to be SOA. So that's going to be opposite over hypotenuse. So my final answer is going to be √5/3. That is my final answer. On K, so I've got a couple things inside here. So let me kind of focus on one and then the other. Okay, so here it's saying, okay, what cosine gave you a value of 0? The angle of what is the angle that gave me a cosine equal to 0? So again, your cosine, your arc cosine is going from here to here because that's positive and then negative. So where is my cosine? Where's my cosine equal to 0? Here. And again, down at the bottom, but we're only in this area here. So that is going to be pi halves. Okay, so that I had highlighted in yellow, that answer is pi halves. So now let me look at this. And now I want my sine to be, so figure out what sine, what angle of what angle gave me a sine of 1/2. So let's see, for my sine, I'm not going to go from here to here because that's positive sine and positive sine. So that doesn't work. So I'm going to go from here to here. And remember, I'm going from negative pi halves up to positive pi halves. That's what I'm going to be dealing with. So if I want to know where my sine, which is my y, is going to be a 1/2, I am going to want my y to be short. So I am going to go long comma short. I am here at pi 6. So now for this problem, okay, I'm going to write it right above. Now I really want to find cosine of, and the first answer was pi halves, plus my second answer is pi 6. Let me clean that up. So that's going to be cosine of, and pi halves, I can rewrite as 3 pi 6. So when I take pi 6, which is 3 pi 6, and add it with pi 6, I end up getting 4 pi 6. 4 pi 6. And 4 pi 6 really reduces down to 2 pi thirds. So really, I want to know, okay, what is cosine of 2 pi thirds? So 2 pi thirds is over here. That point is short comma long. So short comma long. I want cosine of that. And cosine is your x coordinate. So my final answer is going to be -1/2. That is my answer. That's what that whole thing equals to. So I had to find the angle in radians that gave me a 0 for my cosine, the angle in radians that gave me a 1/2 for my sine. I took those two angles and I added them. So pi halves or 3 pi 6 plus pi 6 is 4 pi 6, and that reduces down to 2 pi thirds. Okay. On the next problem, I've got two things going on in here. First thing I need to do is figure out this, and then whatever that is, I'm going to subtract 3 pi halves. So my sine, I don't go from here to here for my inverse sine or arc sine, because that would be positive and this is positive sine. I need to have positive and negative. So I'm going to go from here to here, and that is going to be from negative pi halves to positive pi halves. Okay, and I want a -1/2 for my sine, and sine is wise. So I want short for my sine. So I'm going to go long comma short. This is my value. And from negative pi halves to pi halves, that's going to be a negative pi 6. So just like the last problem, I'm going to rewrite this. And so now I'm going to find tangent of negative pi 6 minus 3 pi halves. And so this 3 pi halves, if I change it to 6, would be a -9 pi 6. And negative pi 6 and a -9 pi 6 is a -10 pi 6. And that reduces down to a -5 pi thirds. And so I want tangent of a -5 pi thirds. So -5 pi thirds. So if I start here, let me do this in blue. If I start here and I'm going at -5 pi thirds, -5 pi thirds, okay, that's 3 pi thirds. This would be -4 pi thirds. So it's going to put me here. And that point, just in terms of the coordinates, would be short, comma, long. And then I want the tangent of that. So the tangent is going to be my y over x. So I'm going to have √3 halves over 1/2. I can clean that up by taking √3 halves times the reciprocal 2 over 1. My 2's cancel out and I get √3. And that is my final answer. And I'll make a video for the homework.